Hello, everybody. This is Leo Brady with AMovieGuy.com. I am here with the writer, director, editor, and stars of the Artifice Girl. Thank you so much. We've got Franklin Ritch, Tatum Matthews, and David Girard. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you.
So, Franklin, I think I have to start with you. I think everybody probably starts with you. This is your baby. This is your child. Talk about sort of. Obviously, we talked a little bit before we started. You've already had your premiere at Fantasia Fest, but now that sort of more people are starting to get to see it. What kind of emotions are hitting you that people are seeing it out in the world?
I'm thrilled. I feel like I've been sitting on this film for 2.5 years. Not sitting on it, working on it for 2.5 years. And I've just been dying to talk to people about it. And I couldn't, except with like these two, and they're sick of hearing me talk about it. But getting to actually like talk to people, I think that's been like the coolest part of this whole experience. And finally, like, hearing people's thoughts on it and their interpretations and the thoughts that they come away from, and also getting to see it on a big screen is just so great in a big theater of people with the cast and crew. That's always magical. Yeah. Well, and obviously, David and Tatum, the two of you, you read the screenplay, and it's like very rich, dense, a lot of text, a lot of like details going into it. Talk about sort of your thought process after you read your characters and sort of how you guys both were about to like jump into the characters that you were going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you, the moment I read the screenplay, and Franklin already told me that he wanted me to play Amos, and I didn't agree with Amos's premise at first as far as defending the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, I was like, okay, how are we going to play this to make it authentic? But my dad was a cop, so I understood that part of it. But actually, doing the research, delving into the character, and actually my opinion changed. I was like, oh, okay, so at what point does sentience happen? At what point do we give them rights? Should we start now to go ahead and get into practice? Because I know people, and if you wait too long to start giving things their rights, then they'll never get them. So that changed for me, and during the process of actually developing who Amos was. And I think you can see in the film that I vehemently defend her right to exist.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember the first time I read the script was actually through the virtual read-through.
Oh my God.
Which was like incredible. Like it was just over Zoom. It was during COVID times too. But it was absolutely incredible. I knew the script was something really special and that was going to go somewhere. And then when he told me that he wanted me to play Terry, I was just like, because it's such an awesome project to be a part of, and I absolutely love the character. She's really different than anything that I've ever played, but it's really fun to explore those sides. I mean, it was very difficult. We had a lot of time to work on it, but it's so fun, and being alongside David and all the other actors is just amazing.
Yeah, well, and right back at you, Tatum. I mean, like, you are more or less playing a robot. You are artificial intelligence. So getting prepared to like sort of straddle the line of a human and a robot, right? You can't just like be robotic, right? There's no Terminator aspect to this sort of character. Talk about how did you prepare? Did you watch like movies with people who had played AI, whether it's like Alien or Blade Runner in that regard?
I practice a lot with Siri and Alexa. So I use their talk-to-speech app or something. You put it in like the words that you want them to say, so I put in my lines.
Yeah.
And then they'd say back to me, and I recorded it, and it was so helpful, like, because I tried to embody a lot of how they spoke, because I think that was like kind of the mid that we wanted. And then we just kind of went from there and tweaked a couple things, but just a lot of time spending with with the material and just trying to find the right way to put everything.
Yeah. We did a ton of research, and one of my favorite stories about you in this project is on set. I hadn't even thought of it when we got you set up, and because all of that stuff with her on the screen is live.
Yeah.
That's composited in. That's
Oh,
live.
yeah.
She's in the adjacent room,
Yeah.
squished up against the bathroom door, in this white void set.
Yeah.
And I had this moment of like, wait, like, should she blink? Are we gonna have to like go in post and like remove? And Tatum, like on the other side of the wall, is like, oh no, I already looked it up. I did my research. They blink too much. And for blinking, I've already like gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
how
now
you-
I was like blink a lot, and it was very like you have to do it at a certain time. You can't be like all 5 minutes. So that was a big thing for me that I constantly had to think about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
noticed your blinking seemed kind. I was like, oh my god, I'm never going to reach that level of acting. My blinks.
It
That was
took a
awesome.
lot of work to get it right, but I think it turned out.
Well,
good.
and maybe even Franklin can talk about this more like in sort of the directing of like the scenes, because it starts out with this interrogation sort of section. You guys are in these tight quarters. It sort of creates a little bit of claustrophobia and a little bit of like pressure, and it you know, for David and Franklin, like, did you both block out your movements? How did you sort of create that setting in an interrogation to sort of make one person good cop, bad cop, or put yourselves on different pedestals in those moments?
Yeah, no, it's all Franklin and,
Yeah.
and Britt and them just, David stand there, sit down, stand up, sit down. Okay, and that was pretty much it. Because it really was so tight. I think the brilliance of the film relies on, it never gets stale because of the shots that they chose.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're still sitting in the same room, but the way that it flashes and, you know, the brilliance to the editing, you just never feel like it's just this one room.
Right.
So I think that's the beauty of the shots. But to answer your question, I did what they told me.
I appreciate it, but we did do quite a bit of blocking in some of those longer shots, and this whole process was a lot of like preparation.
Yeah.
So we had lots and lots of Zoom calls where we rehearsed. My director of photography, Britt McTamney, who's amazing, and I worked tirelessly on the pre-production side of it, and made shot lists, map diagrams, all of this stuff to make sure that, because we're stuck in this one little room, it still felt somewhat dynamic. And there's
Yeah.
only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So we really had to try and get creative, and Britt pulled it through with his cinematography.
Yeah.
It's a huge part, I think.
Yes, it is.
Well, and Franklin and Tatum, you both can sort of talk about this. I mean, you bring in an absolute legend in Lance Henriksen to be in this movie. You know, he is kind of like, he is the hammer sort of driving the nail at the end of the film. It's just like a fantastic third act and a way to do it. Franklin, can you talk about getting him onto the project, and Tatum, talk about working with him?
Yeah, that was, again, I still can't believe it. I've only ever worked with local actors in and around, you know, our little small bubble of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But so bringing in Lance Henriksen, who was at the top of our list when we were looking at actors for this, I owe that to Paper Street Pictures, who had those connections and were able to take our little project and give it this extra level of credibility with adding the legend. I mean, and of course, like the thematic and meta ties to Lance's past work. I don't know if you've seen
Yes.
Aliens, where he plays an android guy.
His name is Bishop. I'm not switching bishops.
Some not subtle.
Yeah.
So getting him involved was incredible, and for me personally, I was just so glad that I got to pair up, you know, this incredible legendary actor with this person that I feel like I've kind of discovered, you know, and will be riding her coattails for the rest of her career.
Yes.
And getting to see them in a scene, and their chemistry was just unbelievable. I'm sure you can talk about that.
Yeah.
But it just instantly, they were perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so instant, the connection that we had, which I mean, we just bonded. Like, we were just talking in between takes, and he definitely deserves, like, the legend tag that he gets to his name. Like,
Yes.
110%.
Yeah.
He was so amazing, like, so grounded, but, like, just so, like, carelessly sharing, like, his experiences and wisdom with us, which I thought was so amazing. And it was just, it's so crazy that I still got to work with him. I just still can't believe it.
Well, and we touched briefly on it too, Franklin. I mean, this is sort of a subject matter in science fiction that's been sort of talked about forever, for a long amounts of time. So people will bring up movies like Ex Machina or Alien and talk about sort of do artificial intelligence have feelings, like Philip K. Dick type of stories. So how much of those sort of those past science fiction films are you like, I want to stay away from all of that, I don't want that, because it's going to naturally come up in general, or did you try to just basically be like, I want to put my influences into it?
Yeah, it was less about trying to avoid
Yeah.
influences. I feel like it does wear a lot of influences on its sleeve, but for me, I just wanted to have a different conversation about this subject. It's one
Yeah.
that I hadn't seen in a film, and I think the subject matter and the use of the technology, that's something unique that I hadn't seen put to film before, and the questions that come up as a result of that, and the ethical and philosophical stuff. That to me, that was like, yeah, I haven't seen anybody get into this like this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to explore that and take it as far as I can.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of necessitated the structure of the film and really helped the writing process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so awesome to get into those questions with people and see like their thoughts on it. It's just so cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, David, you talked about it. I mean, you walk in thinking one way and you walk out thinking the next. Yeah. I mean,
It totally changed.
what was that sort of in the sort of when you were basically practicing, doing all of your auditions and things of that nature? Did you find yourselves all having conversations with one another about like how did you view it or how did you see it? Was that something that just naturally happened from the material?
Yeah, I think that happened like pretty early on. Once we started shooting, we knew where we stood.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we walked in on set. But yeah, we did have those conversations about, how we felt about the big boogeyman of AI.
Yeah.
As it's portrayed.
Yeah,
So.
and it's funny that you say boogeyman too, because I feel like that's a thing in a lot of science fiction films where
Mhm.
AI is just this unknowable, scary thing that could probably turn against us.
Yep.
We wanted to explore something a little different.
Yeah.
Explore this, the ethical and philosophical
Yeah.
kind of side of approaching AI as if it was a child rather than Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
And we had a lot of conversations over Zoom about that together,
Yeah.
which was great with Sinda, who plays
Yes.
Dina.
Yes.
It's
So
unfortunately
many
not here at
things.
South by, but
Yeah.
she's absolutely incredible. I can't sing her.
Shout out to Dina.
Shout out.
Yes. And then before I wrap up, you guys have been great. This is just such a great interview. You have Tatum do this fantastic dance at the end of the movie. Who is doing the choreography for all of that?
That was Brittany Boyd.
Okay.
It was so incredible how we all got to work on that together and just put in our thoughts and this doesn't work here or this really works here, we have to keep that, and it was just such a collaborative thing that I think just turned out really well.
Absolutely.
It seems like getting robots to dance is always a awesome thing to have in your movie, and it definitely works.
I think it was one of those things where it just kind of was while writing the script, it was a no-brainer. I had to demonstrate that Sherry is exploring herself artistically and how to do that in a way that's cinematic and visual, and just the imagery of the. Is this a spoiler? I guess it's.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping people will see
The
it. So.
imagery of the cables disconnecting and her dancing, just it made kind of so much sense. And it just also happened that Tatum was a phenomenal dancer on top of everything else.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so she was the only person I think who could play the role.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, all three of you, for being here with me. David Girard, Tatum Matthews, and Franklin Ritch. Thank you so much. The Artifice Girl. Can't wait for more people to see this. And thanks for being here at South by Southwest.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. Yeah, awesome.